And we're back, and that means it's time to dig into the Drukhari datasheets and detachments. That's a lot of alliteration that we don't normally have with an army. But I did want to talk very briefly about the Combat Patrol and the new Real Space Raiders Battle Force, which we did get a copy of the Battle Force and of the new Lady Malice models. I haven't had an opportunity to put them together. They did include the Real Space Raiders because it has the new plastic Archon model, which has been a long time in coming. Having a multi-part plastic Archon has been something the Games Workshop has not had ever, and it's been something that has been sorely needed. So it's very good to see it. And it's a nice looking model. Lady Malice is a fantastic looking model. But the reason I wanted to highlight this is, as I said in part one, the army is split between the Cabals, the Homunculus Covens, and the Witch Cults. And the Real Space Raiders box gives you a decent number of units from the Witch Cults and the Cabals, but doesn't include anything from the Homunculus Covens. The Combat Patrol is all Homunculus Covens. And in fact, it is literally all the units that make up Homunculus Covens, because a number of units don't exist anymore, and we'll get to that. But if you wanted to get into this army, this is one of those cases where, like, buy the Real Space Raiders box, buy the new Combat Patrol, and if you can track one down, buy the old Combat Patrol too, because the old Combat Patrol is phenomenal, because that's the one that comes with a Raider and a Ravager in it, and they don't make that one anymore, because they replaced it with this one that doesn't have any transports. And the Real Space Raiders kit only has a Venom as a transport, which is not enough. But you do get like a unit of Incubi, a unit of Warriors, a unit of Witches, a unit of Hellions, a unit of Scourges, the Archon, and a Venom. That's a lot. That's a pretty decent like spread to start with. And then the new Combat Patrol gives you a Homunculus, a unit of Rax, or 2 units of 5, depending on how you want to split them out, and a Talos and a Kronos. So all of the units there. So that would actually give you a decently well-rounded army to start with, and would probably come in 1,000-ish points, hopefully close to it. So it's a good place to start. And yeah, and the new models, the Drukhari, even though most of the Drukhari models, I mean, they are we are coming up on 15 years of the podcast next year, and they redid the Drukhari one like year 2.
I thought it was like year 4 or 5. But you're probably right.
No, it was like 2009. Yeah, it's 2009, 2010.
It was such a big deal when they got released, because their models were the oldest that Games Workshop had, because they were like 2nd edition models. So when they released the new Dark Eldar line at the time, everyone was in awe, because, oh my gosh, plastic models that have multiple options that are really dynamically posed. And it just blew everyone's minds.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess that was been good enough that they haven't had to do any revisions until, I guess, now.
November of 2010.
2010. So just before, so a little bit before we started the podcast, because we started in like April of 2011. So it was only a few months old. And not even all of it was...
The podcast didn't start till episode 50.
But like not even all those models were out yet. Like they hadn't finished the full revamp at that time. But I will say, even though they are 15-year-old models, the Drukhari line has held up really well.
Yes. One thing that's kind of crazy, too, because it was such a tonal shift in like the models and the design of the army, because they were always, Raiders and Torturers and like that, but the aesthetic definitely changed. If you're looking in the actual codex itself, on page 99, there's this like really cool, moody art of an Archon with like his face mask and stuff like that. And then on the next page is the 2nd edition art, and it's so funny.
It's goofy. It's really goofy.
It's so funny seeing those back to back.
I mean, I guess I didn't notice that was really goofy, because I'm used to that from, I guess we've been doing this too long.
We have been doing this a long time. But yeah, it is wild seeing how like the aesthetic was similar, but still very different.
Very different, yes.
and especially with the Homunculus Covens, they leaned real, because they didn't, the Talos in the old version of the army just looked kind of like a mechanical scorpion.
Yep,
like
I have one.
Yeah. Whereas when they did the revamp, the homunculus covens, they leaned really hard into like the body horror aspect of this army.
And I will admit the newer models, I like that look better because the old metal Scorpion just looked like, hey, look, we've got a Chaos Scorpion, except it's Dark Eldar. Yay.
Yeah. No, the revamp gave them it scaled them properly. They probably would be slightly rescaled if they re-released them now. I haven't seen like the new like the Hand of the Archon set for Kill Team, but it is just an add-on for the Cabalite Warriors sprue. So I don't think they've necessarily reworked the army much aesthetically or scale wise, but it still holds up really well considering how much change they've done in kind of like modeling technique over the last 15 years. A Drukhari army still looks fantastic. So you won't be unhappy with those models. Now, the downside is not all the models made it to plastic. And it's a good thing the Archon finally did, because I think they realized if they don't, this army falls apart very quickly. But as always, let's pour one out for the units that didn't make the cut. The Beastmaster and all the various beasts, and for a while, like that was a big build. Like Beastmaster heavy builds for Drukhari were a thing. A lot of people leaned heavy into Beastmasters. Those are all gone because they were all fine cast. They never made it into plastic. The Court of the Archon, all the weird aliens and such that could join an Archon, they were also all fine cast and did not make it. The homunculus covens got hit particularly hard because they lost their named character, Urian Rakarth. We mentioned him in part 1 as like the uber homunculus. He did not make it. He is fine cast only. And grotesques, their big beefy like ogre version of Rax, did not make it either. They're just not in the book at all. So we'll see if they end up in Legends. I imagine they will. But yeah, those are all just gone. They are no longer options. And so this army, which was never gigantic, and because of the way it was split out into 3 sub-factions, always felt a little bit pinned in, it feels more so now. Like you have fewer options. It's still bigger than like probably World Eaters or Votann or things like that, but it still feels like a relatively small model range comparatively.
2 of these I can kind of understand with the Beastmaster and the Court of the Archon kind of just being a variety of models, and so you'd have one unit that had like 6 different stat lines you had to pay attention to or something, and that's I think one of the things to streamline they would want to get away from. But the grotesques and Urian, I don't know, other than you said they're just fine cast, and I would have thought they would have at least made one or both into plastic for this release, as opposed to only giving us a named character who it's her first time being in a book.
Well, no, because Lady Malice was previously in, like, she was in the 5th edition codex, but it took...
She didn't have a model at the time.
Right, I was going to say, it took from 5th edition to now to get a model, so, like...
15 years?
Yeah, like, so I don't know. Like,
you're saying in 2040 we'll get models for these 2?
It's one of those, oh my God, that's 15 years from now. No,
I didn't mean to break you, Kevin.
Damn.
I was just doing math. You said 15 years, so I added 15 years.
My point was that it sometimes takes longer than you anticipate. God damn it.
And here's Dennis showing that he's a Drukhari player by inflicting mental torture on Kevin.
Oh, Kevin's fine.
He'll walk it off. He'll be good.
You're not old yet, Kevin.
Anyway, but what I was getting at is that it takes them a while to get new models. So I would not be surprised if in a future release, Kill Team or something like that we get some of these, because like the Court of the Archon would actually be like a really good like Kill Team option. So yeah, some of these things might come back in the future. Hopefully it will not take 15 years.
Or a Kill Team that was like Homunculus Cabal that had like a couple of grotesque models in it would be yeah. And it could even be a mixed team, like similar to what they did with like the Accursed Cultists, where you've got like the Accursed Cultists and the Torments, where you like they're just the big, swollen, heavily mutated cultists. The grotesques are basically big, swollen, heavily mutated racks. So you could easily do that same kind of thing. Yeah. There's definitely space for these to be brought back. And Yuri and Rakarth not getting... Actually, the one that surprised me the most, Grotesques have been needing a plastic release forever.
Yes.
Like people have been because they've also been stuck in like there are two poses and that's all you get. And that hasn't stopped Games Workshop. See Obliterators, they are stuck into uncustomizable poses forever. But at least they're in plastic. But yeah, I was surprised to see. I mean, I shouldn't be, because again, they were only ever in Finecast, and they might come back eventually. But it was still sad to see them losing a decent chunk of their army, with not the most I think we've seen dropped, but a fair amount. But getting into the data sheets, and as always, we do the data sheets first, and then we'll do the detachments, so we have the context of what the units can do. So we'll start off with the Archon, which is your leader if you are playing a Cabal, or if you're using Cabal forces. Now, in the past, the Archon did not have any options really, other than like what pistol you gave him, because they had a plastic Archon and he was stuck in one pose with like no options really. Now we have a new multi-part plastic Archon, and they basically brought back like all the options from like the 5th edition and older codexes, which is great to see.
Yeah.
But he has had a couple of stat changes. One thing I did notice is his movement dropped, which this army is now pretty much their infantry is primarily 7-inch. Now, witch cults get a little bit faster, but so they toned the Archon down to 7-inch of movement from 8. Also, this is a toughness 3 army. Your infantry is primarily toughness 3. It's an Aeldari army. It's going to be kind of squishy. Saves are not the best with a 4-up, but he does have a 2-up invulnerable save. He had this in the index as well. If you're not familiar, he has a shadow field. He has a 2-up invulnerable save, but you cannot re-roll it, and if he ever fails it, he loses his invulnerable save for the rest of the game. But that's just kind of the trade-off of being an Archon. You are really good at avoiding damage until you aren't.
Mm-hmm.
One thing also, because he's now a multi-part model, the Archon has melee weapon options. Before, the model was just equipped with an anti-infantry 3-up power weapon, basically, which was a Husk Blade. Now you have the options of the Husk Blade, which instead of being anti-infantry 3-up, it is now devastating wounds. The Agonizer, which is the old anti-infantry 3-up option, and a mastercrafted power weapon, which basically it's like the Agonizer is better against infantry and has more attacks, but less damage. The Husk Blade has fewer attacks, but more damage and devastating wounds. And the mastercrafted power weapon is like kind of right in the middle, but with no special rules.
The Husk Blade, you're only going to really be doing those devastating wounds for the most part, because it's strength 3, meaning if you run up to strength 6 or higher, you're going to be wounding on 6s, which triggers dev wounds. So
right.
I don't know. I think I like the Agonizer a bit better just because it's more reliable about sticking things.
And yeah, now granted, you're going to be at a bit of a handicap against like 2 wound models because you're only doing 1 a swing. So there is that, but infantry 3-up is pretty, it's pretty solid. He's also got an anti-infantry pistol as an option. And again, you're going to see a lot of anti-infantry in this army because that's how they reflect poison weapons, which does mean if against somebody who's riding a bike, they could be naked and riding a bike, you still won't hurt them outside of their strength because you might hit the bike instead.
You will hit the bike instead because you're that good.
But if you don't like either of the pistols, and one of the pistols is a strength 8 damage D3 blast pistol, but you also only have 6 inches of range on it. So not great until you're actually stuck in. But if you don't like either of the pistol options, you also have the option of a soul trap, which they added. And that adds 1 to the strength and attacks of your melee weapons, which would be good maybe if you're taking that Husk Blade so you can wound on more than just 6s.
Agreed.
And also, the first time you make a melee attack that destroys an enemy model, until the end of the game, you add an additional attack and strength. And that's just destroying a model, not a...
So yeah, with the Soul Trap, Husk Blade gets my vote.
Yeah. And honestly, even like with the Soul Trap, even the Mastercrafted Power Weapon's not a bad option. I think with the Archon, the Soul Trap's the better option than either of the pistols. Now, he has had a number of ability changes, and also, like every unit in this army, he has a pain ability, and every unit has a different pain ability. There is no consistency between them. They're all different pain abilities. So He used to have the ability to, like, hey, if he's leading a unit, they can re-roll to wound. Now it's at this once per battle, he's a chaplain. He battle shocks Drukhari unit within 12 inches.
That is super useful, though.
Well, especially for you, because you fail battle shock tests all the time.
Yeah.
He also had the Devious Mastermind ability, which used to be make someone else's stratagems cost more. It is now the standard captain thing of, if this unit is targeted with you target this unit with a stratagem, you reduce the cost by once per battle round. So he's a little bit more generic in that sense.
So I guess I'll chime in here before we finish off Archon. You still have that ability on the Ynnari Archon.
Yeah, and I think that's something to take into account, is the Ynnari are built off of like closer to the old index version.
So the big difference is now is if you take him in Ynnari, you keep that extra movement. So he's at 8 inches of movement. But like you noted, he has no options, can't take the soul trap, and he still has the reroll ones, which is really nice. Does not have the chaplain ability, but he also has the reduced cost of CP, because I think they were more leaning towards that for future stuff. So his is the reduced cost for CP. So
now I'm going to throw this out as a caveat. Do not be surprised if right after this codex comes out, and we don't have any advanced information on this, but right after this codex comes out, do not be surprised if they errata all the Ynnari versions of the Drukhari to be more like the new model, especially like the Archon with having options and such.
That would actually be really nice for Ynnari. And yeah, I guess the other big difference is these guys have pain. You will never have a pain ability for the Ynnari. Instead, they actually gain the Aeldar's battle focus.
Yeah, which fits. That's fine.
But you're running it in an Eldar book.
Right. So your pain ability for the Archon is Hatred Eternal. Basically, in your shooting phase or fight phase, when this unit's getting ready to fight, spend a pain token, and every time while the unit's empowered, which lasts until the rest of the phase, they can re-roll the hit roll.
Oh, that's kind of good.
So pain token, and that includes the unit he's attached to, which can be the Hand of the Archon, Incubi, and Cabalite Warriors. So re-roll hits for spending a pain token. Then we've got Lady Malice, who is a brand new kind of character. As we mentioned, she was in the 5th edition codex, but she hasn't had a model until now. She disappeared for a long time, and now she is back. And she is your named Archon. She has the Archon keyword. She has no guns, but she has 2 melee weapons, and one of them gives her extra attacks. So she fights with all of them. There's the Lady's Blade, which is basically a better Husk Blade. 6 attacks, weapon skill 2, strength 5, AP -3, 3 damage, devastating wounds, hazardous. And then her Razor Fan, which is 6 extra attacks at weapon skill 2, 3 strength, 1 damage. The devastating wounds is nice. The hazardous gives me a bit of pause because she only has 5 wounds.
The hazardous makes sense though, because in the Dark Eldar they had all those like soul blades that were actually like would eat your soul away as you were using them, and only the people who truly mastered them lived long.
Correct. And her stat line is very similar to an Archon's. She does not have the Shadow Field, but she just always has a 4-up invulnerable. She also has a 5-up Feel No Pain, so she might be able to shrug off a little bit of that hazardous if she's lucky.
Right.
And she's got 1 extra wound. Archons are only 4. She has 5. She can also lead Hand of the Archon, Incubi, and Cabalite Warriors. If your army includes her, she has a precognizant ability. If your army includes this model, after both players have deployed their armies, you can redeploy up to 3 Drukhari units and put them in strategic reserves if you want. So redeploy is always a kind of handy ability to have. She has the increase somebody else's stratagem cost. And it's each time an opponent targets a unit from their army with a stratagem, if they're within 12 inches of her, the stratagem costs 1 more.
And that makes sense that would be on an epic hero.
Yeah.
Because then you can only have 1, and thus it's limited.
I think that was one of the problems they had in the past, was like people running like 3 Archons and creating these bubbles of, oh, look, your strats cost 3 more now. You know, by like you said, by putting it on epic hero, that problem goes away. And then her pain ability, whenever you select her to shoot or her unit to shoot or fight, you can spend a pain token. If you do, all the weapons equipped by models in that unit gain either sustained hits 1 or lethal hits. So basically, spend a pain token to do like a Dark Pact style thing.
God, off the top of my head, I would probably think I would want to run her with Incubi.
just to get the sustained.
Well, that and also just she's all melee, they're all melee.
So yeah, it's a good
balances
and
out.
if you empower her, also you would empower the incubi, and when we get to the incubi, we'll talk about their pain ability and why you might want to do that.
So you're saying I chose well.
Yeah, you chose well. Moving on to our other new unit is the Hand of the Archon, which is based on their kill team. And kind of like we were talking about with the Orc Commandos, this one's fixed at 10. It is a 10-person unit. And it has all the options because it's a kill team. So you can customize this unit as much as you want. If you attach a leader to it, the leader gains Scout 7 inches because this unit has Scout 7 inches. At the start of the first battle round, you select an objective marker on the battlefield. Until the end of the battle, while this unit's within range of that objective marker, unless it's battle shocked, they have a 5-up invulnerable save and are OC 3.
Oh,
so
dang.
you pick an objective that you want to take, they will be 30 OC on that objective.
Whew. Until they're dead.
Until they're dead. And they're 30 OC unless you take the Cabalite icon, which, let's see, the Cabalite, or it's right. So basically the sergeant can take an icon. The icon adds 1 to his objective control characteristic, so that will get it up to 31. They have a Phantasm grenade launcher, which does not give them grenades, which is what the old Phantasm grenade launcher used to do for other units in the index. They already have the grenades keyword. This gives them the smoke keyword. So this unit can also pop smoke.
That kind of makes sense because I think in the past these were more hallucinogenic grenades that went out from it to make them harder to hit. So I guess smoke is kind of similar.
Yeah, it makes them obscured.
Yeah.
And then you can also have a stim needler because, every kill team has to have access to a medic. And once per turn, the first time you fail a saving throw for a model in the unit, you reduce the damage to 0.
Once per turn even. Wow.
Yeah, once per turn. Not just once per battle round, not just once per game, once per turn. And then otherwise, they have access to all the kinds of guns that Cabalite warriors have. Blast pistols, blasters, dark lances, shard carbines, shredders, splinter cannons, splinter pistols, splinter rifles, stinger pistols. And there's also somebody you can have power weapons in the squad, razor flails, pain sculptors, which are anti-infantry 4-up twin linked.
Okay. I'm taking back what I said about the Court of the Archon before. This seems more complicated than the Court of the Archon was.
Oh, this is is so customizable again because it's based off of a kill team where you have a lot of options that you can take, and the kill team kind of assumes you're going to take one of everybody that's special. You could take this as a generic, slightly better Cabalite warrior squad. Don't. It's way better to just trick them out fully. And then their pain ability in the shooting phase or the fight phase, when they fight, you spend a pain token, and weapons equipped by models in this unit, except for blast pistols, blasters, and dark lances, which are their dark light weapons. So except for those, they get lethal hits and precision. They don't need to give the dark lance precision and lethal hits. They really don't.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't. This is a pretty solid unit, honestly. And it's not an epic, so it's not battle line either, but it's basically like an elite version of Warriors, which is kind of what Trueborn used to be back in the day.
Right.
But you can take up to 3 of these. I don't know if there's, other than points wise, maybe, I don't know if there's a good reason not to. Because again, they're built out of the Cabalite Warrior sprue with an upgrade sprue. So if you can get obviously 3 kill team boxes will be expensive, but if you don't necessarily want to have all the upgrades and just want to have the extra OC and the ability to get lethal hits and precision and scouts on a unit, it might be worth just saying these 3 units of Cabalite Warriors are actually Hands of the Archon. Moving on, we've got Drazar, who is not a Phoenix Lord, but might as well be.
He is.
I mean, he's an ex-Phoenix Lord. He's a Phoenix Lord that broke bad. The theory is that he is the old Striking Scorpion Phoenix Lord before Karandras became Phoenix Lord, which might be why we don't have a Karandras model right now. But he is a melee only character. He's got his Executioner's Demiclaves, which are his 2 knives that he can combine into one big knife if he wants. First off, they gained an attack in both modes. So he's coming in either in single blade mode at 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP -2, 3 damage, or dual blades, 8 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 5, AP -2, 2 damage. The big difference that he got there is the single blade used to be devastating wounds. Now both blade versions are devastating wounds. The downside is the demi blade or the dual blades used to have twin linked. They don't have twin linked anymore, but he'll be fine. He used to have an ability called Vicious Execution, which gained him an extra pain token when he killed a character in melee. He does not have that anymore. Instead, he has an ability called Silent Executioner. When he attacks a unit that's below starting strength, he rerolls hits. If they're below half strength, he rerolls wound rolls. Also, when he's leading a unit, which he can only lead Incubi, they pile in and consolidate 6 inches. And then beyond that, his pain ability is when he fights, you can spend a pain token. Every time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. That's why I think he'll be fine without the twin linked.
I'm not sure about him now. I really liked him before, I think more just as an extra pain token generator. But I guess we do get him if we kill units, so...
But you don't get the... And that was only when he killed characters in melee.
Oh, killed characters? Okay.
Yeah, so it's not just... You can't just kill a unit. It has to be characters. And he doesn't have precision on any of his attacks or anything.
Right.
He is more just a blender rather than a character killer. Don't worry, they have character killers. Just not him.
I don't know. I'm just debating whether I'd use him or the lady for leading the Incubi. I'm leaning towards the new character.
All right, well, let's talk about the Incubi then. They also have the single blade, dual blade version. None of theirs have devastating wounds. They don't have twin linked on the dual blades, but their single blade gained 1 attack. It was 3, it's now 4, and 1 strength. It was 4, it's now 5. And then they also have the option of just a clave, or they have a clave. Their leader can have the demi-clave. That's right.
Correct.
So baseline, they are 3 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 5, AP -2, 2 damage. The Clavex can have the dual blades. And they also get a shrine token because they're effectively aspect warriors.
Yep. Which is why they also have that 5-up invone save.
Yes. For each Incubi shrine token this unit has, which I think you get 1 every 5. Yes.
Correct.
For every 1 every 5, you can change the result of 1 hit roll or wound roll made by a Clavex or Incubi model in this unit to an unmodified 6, which is the same thing Aspect Warriors do. So yes, Incubi are the closest that are basically Drukhari Aspect Warriors. They do have an ability called Tormentors, which still force it basically at the start of the fight phase, units that are engagement range with this rule have to take battle shock tests, and if you target a battle shocked unit, you are +1 to hit.
And also, if you battle shock something, you get a pain token.
Yes. And then their pain ability is when they're making melee attacks against infantry units, they get devastating wounds.
And then you could spend a shrine token to make one of them an unmodified 6 for auto devs.
Yep. And so if you add Drazar to the unit and you empower them, they get +1 to wound and devastating wounds. If you add Lady Malice, you can get sustained hits or lethal hits and devastating wounds against infantry.
Well, I think I know my answer then.
Is Lady Malice?
No, it's take 2 squads and have one lead one lead the other.
Have 1 of each.
I also just really like Incubi, so.
Yeah. Oh, and they're cool looking models too. So yeah, they've always been a good choice. So yeah, they're still good. They're still
one
good.
of the other reasons that makes them a good choice is they actually have a 3-up armor. So they're a 3-up, 5-up when most of the army is like 4 or 5-up armors and maybe a 6-up invone. So
yeah,
they are probably one of your more defensive units.
Mm-hmm. And Drazar is, whereas we said Lady Malice is a 4-up, 4-up T3. Drazar is also T3, but he's a 2-up, 4-up. So
because he's totally Phoenix Lord.
Yes, exactly. Getting into Kabalite Warriors, this is your battle line choice for Cabals. They lost a movement, so they went from 8 inches of movement, just like the Archon, down to 7. But they're also like, this is your sticky objective unit, that they have a sticky objective rule built in. Also, their pain ability kind of plays into that. You reroll wound. It's the reroll wound rolls of 1. If the target's on an objective, reroll the full wound roll. So they are there to take objectives and hold on to them. They can also take the Kabalite icon, which gives you +1 OC to the sergeant. They're OC 2 natively, so that gets you like 21 on an objective if it's a full size unit. If they take a Phantasm grenade launcher, they get both smoke and grenades keywords.
Yeah, which means I would take that over the icon.
Yeah, because you can only have one or the other. Yeah, grenades is so useful. Like I think grenades is more useful than one extra OC on one model
Yes.
for sure.
So looking at the Aeldari version, unless they change it, one, your Phantasm grenade launcher is only grenades. It does not give you smoke. And they still have the special rule of sticky outside or inside a transport. So they could be in a transport and making things sticky for the Aeldari.
So we'll get to that. There is a way to do it on
Okay.
certain transports.
Oh, so they
But
moved it to the transports.
They moved it to the transports. So we'll get there. But yeah. And then they don't quite have as many gun options as the Hand of the Archon, but
They still have a lot.
blasters, dark lances, shredders, and then of course like splinter cannons, splinter rifles. Lots of anti-infantry here. Again, that's a theme throughout the entire army is lots of anti-infantry. And then you will want to pepper in things like blasters or dark lances because you'll need that against things that aren't squishy infantry.
And I guess the biggest difference I see between the Warriors and the Hand of the Archon is you only really have a lot of shooting options, while Hand of the Archon had both shooting and melee options.
Yes, very much so. So it's a more well-rounded elite unit than this is, but this will, Cavalry Warriors will still get work done.
Yeah.
Now moving on to the witch cults. So we've gone through like the Cabalite units and some of the Blades for Hire units, like the Incubi and Drazar fall under Blades for Hire. Now we get to the witch cults, and we get the named succubus lady herself, Lilith Hesperax, who is an absolute monster in close combat. Her stat line did not change. She still moves 8 inches. Witches generally move faster, so she's 8 inches. She's got a 4-up, 6-up, or 6-up save, 4-up invuln. Has fights first natively. She's always had Lilith's Blades, which were anti-infantry 2, sustained hits 2. She also gained precision on them, which makes sense. She's a gladiatrix. She wants to kill other fighters in one-on-one combat, and she will absolutely do that. 8 attacks, hitting on 2s, wounding infantry on 2s, AP -2, 1 damage with sustained hits 2.
It's that one damage I think is gonna end up holding her back.
It does somewhat. Yeah, it does. Now, she had an ability called Brides of Death in the index, and that gave her the ability to lead a unit, or when she's leading a unit, they would gain fights first, and then improving their strength and AP by 1. They broke that into 2 abilities. The fights first is now still a thing. It's called Blur of Blades, so she still gets fights first to a unit when she's leading it. Brides of Death is now her pain ability, and so now you have to spend a pain point to improve the strength and AP of her attacks by 1. And then she has always had the Thrilling Spectacle ability, which is once per battle. She just uses the ability in the fight phase. She goes to a 3-up invulnerable save and has 12 attacks instead of 8.
And that reminds me of the Solitaire.
Yes.
When the Solitaire goes into blitz mode. At 12 attacks, I think she can kill things. 8, I don't know. Just that damage 1, I think is going to hold. But with 12, putting out 12 damage, that's really solid.
And she's a character killer.
Yeah.
And against most infantry characters,
they'll have 5 or 6 wounds.
8 attacks, and with sustained hits 2, she's probably going to be getting like 9-10 hits, really. Those are going to wound on 2s, and so that's a lot of saves at AP2 or AP3 if she uses her Brides of Death ability.
Except on characters, AP doesn't matter.
Right, because you're generally hitting invulns.
Yeah.
But still, that's a lot of saves to make. She will probably be able to get enough chip damage through, and with Thrilling Spectacle, 4 extra attacks will probably help seal the deal if it's a character you have to kill.
I think with Thrilling Spectacle, she can kill characters. I think without it, she'll just wound them down to like 1 or 2 wounds.
Right. But also, you should not be having her fight by herself. She should have a squad of witches to take hits for her. And maybe. Oh, yeah.
I didn't say she was going to die. Well, theirs are going to have to go at the squad, though. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless they also have precision. So we'll see. But she has fights first. So her attacks will go through first.
Well, her squad has fights first, too, because she's leading a unit.
Exactly. So now moving on to the succubus. Now, here's something we see a change on her that we see in most of the rest of the army. And when I was going through my notes, I was like, wow, okay, this is happening a lot. Her leadership worsened by 1.
Yeah, Votan across the board lost leadership, so it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Now, up until this point, the model, things had not changed much from the index, but in the index, like pretty much everything outside like Kabalite Warriors was leadership 6, and now it's almost all leadership 7. Kabalite Warriors were always leadership 7, so now it's kind of consistent through.
This is weird because in the Yennari book, everything is leadership 6, even the Kabalite Warriors.
And I think that's probably because of like the devotion to a god type thing.
Okay, fair.
So the succubus, also because this is now based off of the one plastic sculpt they have who has no options, she no longer has a gun option, which, I mean, it was fine. It was a pistol. It wasn't a big deal, but it's gone. She is melee only. But her melee attacks gain, and she has like a pair of weapons that are combined into one profile, the Archite Glaive and the Agonizer. But she gained an extra attack, so she has 7 instead of 6. And she also gained precision to her anti-infantry 3-up weapon. So 7 attacks, anti-infantry 3-up, hitting on 2s, strength 3, AP -2, 1 damage. She's a weaker version of Lilith. 1 fewer attack, her anti-infantry is not as strong, and she doesn't have sustained hits. But when she's leading unit, she does have sustained hits 1, but she doesn't have fights first. Her pain ability is re-rolling advance and charge rolls, which is super useful for witches, which is also the only unit she can join.
Okay, now this is weird looking at the Yennari version, because still has sustained hits 1 when leading a unit, but her empowered by death 1 is at the start of the fight phase. If the unit is below starting strength until the end of the phase, they get fights first. So if you've lost a model, suddenly the unit has fights first.
Well, they're empowered by death. That's a very Yennari thing to do.
And also, she has ranged weapon options of a blast pistol or a splinter pistol.
Yeah.
Because I think they were more taking out, you're not off the succubus model as much as you're off of a witch model that has, and she also does not have precision on her succubus weapons as opposed to Archite Glaive and Agonizer.
Right. And then she also has the Bloody Spectacle ability. Every time she makes a melee attack that targets a character unit, you can reroll hit rolls and reroll wound rolls.
Oh, nice.
So much better chance to stick those wounds at a character. And every time she destroys a character model, you gain a command point.
Oh gosh, yeah, I like both these leaders.
Yeah, they're both good options. They do slightly different things.
So I've got the solution. Have
two squads and run both of them. Wait, this sounds like a thing. Don't worry, you won't have to make that decision again because we don't have any more double characters for a sub-faction.
Well, I don't normally run homunculus size anyway, so.
Yeah. Now, the thing about the succubus is she did lose something. She had fights first when empowered. Like in the index, when you spent 1 to like let her like reroll advance and charge rolls or reroll hits, her unit got fights first. That's gone. She does not have access to fights first anymore.
Yeah, so now Lilith is your fights first one, and the succubus gives you the advance and charge.
Yep. Or not advance and charge, reroll advance and charge.
Oh god, I read that wrong again. Yeah. Reroll's nice, but having advance and charge is even better. I'm sad.
But you're not going to lose it because when we get to witches, you'll see why.
Okay, let's go to witches.
So witches are kind of interesting, and they were like this in the index. They have 2 invulnerable saves, a 4-up in melee, and a 6-up against everything else. They also, their leadership got worse by 1. The big change to them, they got their melee options back. In the index, they were just reduced to witch weapons.
Yes.
Most of them have Hecatari blades, which are 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 3, AP -1, 1 damage, no anti-infantry or anything like that. But up to 3 of them can trade their pistol and blade for gladiatorial weapons, which are 5 attacks, strength 4, AP -2, 1 damage. And then the Hecatrix, which is their sergeant, can have a power weapon, which is anti-infantry 3-up, 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 3, AP -2, 1 damage. They still have a no escape ability, so if you try to fall back, you have to make a desperate escape test, and if they're battle shocked, they subtract 1 from the test. So it is hard to get away from witches once they're stuck in. And their pain ability is charge in a turn you advanced or fell back. So if you have the succubus with them, you can, at the start of the charge phase, you can give them reroll, charge roll, and advance and charge.
Okay, I like that.
But they did lose the ability to take phantasm grenades. So they have the grenade keyword built in, so it's fine. They just don't have the smoke option.
Okay, I'll say then comparing to the Inari, do not have phantasmal grenades, but have grenades built in, have no weapon options, and yeah, other than that, they have no escape, just like you said. And that's about it.
But it was good to see the gladiatorial weapons. It's not as like broken out as it was in like 6th edition, where every weapon had its own separate rule type. But or nice to see them actually having or 7 different rules rather than just everything was Hecatari blades and it didn't matter.
Right, and with the power or the pain power of advance and charge, that makes this superior to the Inari in every way in my mind.
Yeah, and even their Hecatari blades are 1 extra attack than they were in the Index. So witches overall are just better than they were in the Index.
Yes, I like this glow up.
Reavers, which are your witch cults on bikes.
Yeah.
They, again, lost leadership. They lost the melee option to have the sergeant take an agonizer. That's fine. It's okay. You're not taking them to get stuck in, really. They are there to fly by things and shoot. Because they have heat lances, which are fantastic, basically melt-a las cannons.
Yes.
Their grav talon option, though, improved because it was always, hey, your melee weapons have lethal hits. It's now also your melee weapons are AP -2 lethal hits rather than just AP -1.
Okay, and Yanari was giving them lance instead of either of those.
Oh, see, Blade Veins have lance built in anyway, so they don't even have to take the grav talon to get lance. Blade Veins just have lance.
And here, Blade Veins don't. So
yeah. And their thing is and this was in the Index as well, eviscerating flyby. When they fly by they move over a non-monster, non-vehicle unit, you roll a d6 for each model in the unit, and on each 4-up, the enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. And then if you take cluster caltrops, you can re-roll one of those d6s for each model that has cluster caltrops, which is 1 for every 3 models.
Yep. Same thing for Yanari, no change.
Yeah. And then their pain ability is an auto advance of 8 inches.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so they move 16, they can advance 8, and they can do that while doing the flyover.
And all of their weapons are assault, so you can still shoot them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
this unit is terrifyingly fast. So this is one where I think they absolutely got better just from having access to the pain ability.
Yeah, agreed.
And their other, their ranged weapons stayed the same. They were already good.
Yeah.
Their melee options got a little bit better with the grav talon and having lance on the blade veins and such.
Yeah.
Hellions, which are the guys riding skyboards, which is always kind of a weird unit, but it is also a witch cult unit. So it's witches on hoverboards.
Yeah, hoverboard unit.
Yeah.
Think Green Goblin or Hobgoblin or one of the goblins.
Yes. Leadership got worse. Save got better. They went from a 5-up to a 4-up, which makes them consistent with the Reavers, which is kind of interesting. They also added melee options, mostly for the Heliarch, their sergeant. Yeah, because the rest of them have Hellglaives. He can take a power weapon or a stun claw, which the power weapon is... It's the Hellglaives are lance and sustained hits 1. The power weapon is anti-infantry 3-up, lance sustained hits 1. Or the stun claw is devastating wounds, lance precision. So if you want to kill a character, you can go after them with the stun claw.
Yeah.
They did lose the ability to fall back and then shoot or charge. Instead, they have a reactive move. If somebody moves within 9 inches of them, they can make a move of up to d6 inches.
I feel like I'd want to take the Phantasm grenade launcher here just for that smoke and grenades on them.
Yeah, for smoke and grenades, yeah, you definitely want to take that option. And then their pain ability is +1 attack and strength in the fight phase, which with a squad of 5 to 10, with the Hellglaives having normally 3, so you're talking 4, so anywhere from 20 to 40 attacks at strength 5 with lance, they'll get some work done.
The biggest problem I had with this unit in the past was they were so fragile. With them getting a 4-up save instead of a 5-up, I think is huge and will maybe make them see the board.
They're basically a more melee-focused version of Reavers, effectively.
Correct. A little slower.
A little slower, and they don't have the auto advance, but they're a solid choice. They're still a very solid choice.
Yeah, if they could have advance and charge, they'd be perfect. Oh.
Moving on, the Flyers exist. They are there.
Hey, I own each of these models.
I know. And they suffer, they've got good weapons. They just suffer from the problems that all Flyers have in this edition. They're not good choices. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention their pain abilities, because like I said, everybody's got a pain ability. The Razorwing Jet Fighter has the ability to pin non-monster, non-vehicle units, which gives them -2 movement, -2 charge rolls.
I would have hoped that a jet could pin monsters and vehicles too.
You would think. And then the Void Raven Bomber's pain ability is remove cover. Like after they hit somebody, no, they lose the benefit of cover. I can think of better things to spend pain points on in this army,
Yeah.
honestly. So
Totally.
again, they're flyers. They're not good in this edition. I really wouldn't bother.
I mean, there's still the Void Mine that does D6
Up to
mortal wounds.
Yeah, on a 4-up.
Yeah.
They're not terrible, but they have the problem that, like I said, their flyers just aren't great in this edition, and I don't think these did not change significantly from the index, and they really weren't being taken in the index.
Tough 8 and tough 9, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and make them good someday, maybe.
Okay. Well, by the time you do, it'll be a new edition, and maybe flyers will be good again. Who knows?
Yay!
All right, moving on. The Homunculus. This one's interesting. It's a character that lost a leadership. He's only leadership 7, but we saw that with the Succubus as well, so maybe we shouldn't be surprised. There is no named Homunculus. R.I.P. Urian Rakarth. I'm sure he'll be back eventually somehow. But his save went from a 6-up to a 5-up, so he's a little bit more resilient there. He has Feel No Pain 5-up built in. He no longer grants 4-up Feel No Pain to a unit he's leading.
Probably a good thing, and probably why he has more save.
Right. Now, he does have a couple of interesting abilities. He has Fear Incarnate, which he had before, but they've changed it up a little bit. While an enemy unit's within 6 inches of this model, their leadership gets worse by 1. That was always there. Now it's also, in addition, in the Battle Shock step of your opponent's command phase, if such a unit is below starting strength, they have to take a Battle Shock test. So he's got a chance to force your opponent to fail Battle Shock tests if they're nearby, which will also get you pain tokens. And then in addition, in your command phase, if you have one or more Homunculus on the field, roll a d6 on a 4-up, you gain a pain token. So he can just generate pain tokens for you.
Nice.
And instead of granting Feel No Pain to the unit he's attached to, he has Fleshcraft, his pain ability, spend a pain token, return up to D3+1 destroyed bodyguard models.
No. Oh,
So
ouch.
they will die when they get damaged, but he may just bring them back anyway.
Yeah, that's going to be rough.
And then his weapons are all anti-infantry 2-up precision. So he's also a character killer.
Yeah, and they all do D3 damage too.
They all do D3 damage with 5 attacks on his melee weapon, 1 attack on his pistol. I mean, it's a pistol. That's not, you're not going to expect much, but 5 attacks in melee. So yeah, he'll do some work. And he can join Racks, which are the only other infantry Homunculus Coven unit. And Racks are basically what if Pinhead or Pyramid Head were a unit, as they walk around with no shirts and big swords and weapons and funny masks on their faces. And they also gained melee options. And also they got +1 leadership, so they're leadership 7. Their saves improved by 1, so they're 5-up save. And they also gained a wound. They are 2 wounds each now.
And do you know what they lost? Looks like they lost Feel No Pain 5-up.
Which I think that's the trade-off for having the extra
Right.
wound. It's like Feel No Pain 5-up, but basically a slightly better save. Although with AP, I mean, they've got a 6-up invulnerable, so
Yeah, they're going to be doing the invulnerable all the time. Yeah, they're going to die, which
They
is
are
why I
gonna-
guess we resurrect them.
yeah. Now they used to have an ability that granted extra pain tokens every time they destroyed an enemy unit and when they were destroyed. They don't do that anymore. Instead, anytime they shoot or fight and they hit a non-vehicle, the unit they hit has to make a Battle Shock test
To hopefully get you the pain token that
to
way.
generate pain tokens. Yeah. Their weapons are still pretty much the same. The Hex Rifle is a heavy precision rifle, strength 8, AP -2, 3 damage. The Ossifactor is still anti-infantry 4-up devastating wounds. It's basically like a combi rifle, but hits on 3s and does 2 damage. The Stinger pistol is still an anti-infantry 2 pistol. The Liquefier gun was their flamer, their torrent weapon. It is now also anti-infantry 3-up. And then every unit is equipped with twin torturer tools by default. You can trade them up to get like the hex rifle, the liquefier gun, the ossifactor, the stinger pistol. For every 5 models in the unit, you can have one of each of those. The torturer's tools are anti-infantry 4-up twin linked, and then the Akathist, which is their sergeant, can take a power weapon instead. And then anybody who takes the big gun gets a single torturer's tool, which is basically the same as the twin torturer tools, just not twin linked. Now, on the other hand, their pain ability is weird. When you empower the unit in the fight phase, you select one of the following to apply to the unit until the end of the phase. One is their melee attacks equipped by non-character models, so it won't affect homunculi, get attacks characteristic of 3. It's good that it doesn't affect the homunculi because he'd lose 2 attacks, so that would be bad. Basically, it's an extra attack for all the twin torturers tools. Or you can give them attacks characteristic 4, so make all the twin torturers tools 4 attacks, or all their like the regular torturer tools 4 attacks, but all their weapons get hazardous. I don't know if the extra attack is worth the risk of hazardous, especially when you don't have feel no pain in this unit anymore.
I mean, just bring him back with the homunculus using his pain token.
I think, maybe if you have a blob of 10 and a homunculus attached, you do that.
And you can drop something.
Right. Now, here's the downside, though, is this is a case where because his pain ability is only in the command phase, theirs is only in the fight phase, so this is not a case where you can spend one and get both abilities. And
Lame.
theirs only affects themselves because it only affects non-character units. So the action economy isn't really great there compared to some of the other choices we've seen.
So you have to battle shock a unit and kill them in the same thing. So that way you get you the full use.
Yeah. They're not bad. And Brax have always been kind of like the tougher version of Drukhari. They are tough 4 instead of tough 3. With a 5-up save and 2 wounds, they'll be decent. And the fact that Homunculus can bring them back, I think, is what they're leaning into. So
right.
We'll see how that plays out. And then we get to the 2 big pain engine units that the Homunculus Covens have. First off, the Talos, which is their both melee and gun option. The Talos also gained a leadership, and its stat line is otherwise pretty much the same. 7 toughness, 7 wounds with a 3-up, 6-up save, 2 OC, 7 inches of movement. It's got a scorpion tail that can have any number of guns attached to it, including twin heat lance, or a twin splinter cannon, or a twin haywire blaster, or a stinger pod. Just depends on like what do you want to target with it. It can also have the twin liquefier gun on one arm instead of they come equipped with what they call macro scalpels, and the macro scalpels, if you have both of them, they gain twin linked, which is cool. I like seeing abilities like that where it rewards you for taking double weapons, but you can trade them out. So you could replace one macro scalpel with a twin liquefier gun, which is an anti-infantry 3 torrent twin linked gun. Or you could replace them with chain flails, which are 8 attacks at strength 6. Or the Talos Gauntlet, which is 5 attacks at strength 9. And you can have a Talos Ichor Injector instead, which just gives you one extra attack at strength 8 d6 damage. So you can build this thing to be like have really good big attacks, or you can go for lots of little attacks too.
Or go for a lean into the shooty attack. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Lots of options.
And every time this unit destroys an enemy unit, you gain an additional pain token. And then the pain ability is a fight on death on 2-up. But you have to use it at the start of the fight phase before you know if you're going to die or not.
I don't like that.
So you kind of have to guess what's going to happen. Or like if you know, like let's say it's down to a couple of wounds and you're pretty sure it's gonna die, or if somebody charges it, so now we're in the fight phase. Yeah, you're probably gonna kill my Talos. I will spend a pain token. I'm gonna try to kill you after I die. And if I kill you, I'll gain 2 pain tokens. Like the timing on it's a little weird. It's not terrible. It's just a little weird. You have to kind of use it at the right moment. It also does have a 5-up feel no pain. So, I mean, it is a pretty decent melee monster and shooting monster. It is all things to all people. And then you've got the Kronos, which is the other build for that kit. And the Kronos is an interesting choice. It also gained an extra leadership. It has a melee option and then one of 2 ranged options because it comes equipped with its Spirit Leech tentacles, which are anti-infantry 2-up, and then a Spirit Siphon, which you can trade out for a Spirit Vortex instead.
No, it's not a trade out. It's an add.
Or it's just okay, any number of, okay, no, you're right. It's not a trade-off. You just add the Spirit Vortex. Now, their main ability, besides having anti-infantry 2-up melee weapons, and then the Spirit Siphon is a torrent weapon that ignores cover. The Spirit Vortex is a blast that ignores cover. Neither of them are amazing.
Yeah,
They're
neither is
relatively
great.
short range, 12 to 18, D6 shots, strength 5, AP -1, 1 damage. But their ability is Pain Engine. Every time you spend a pain token to empower a friendly unit within 9 inches of this unit, roll a d6, adding 1 to the result if 1 or more models in this unit are not equipped with a Spirit Vortex, and on a 5-up, you gain a pain token. So if you don't equip the Spirit Vortexes, you get pain tokens back on a 4-up. If you do equip the Vortex, you don't get that. So it's like, do you take the blast or do you get the pain tokens? I think you take the pain tokens.
Pain tokens.
Yeah. And then their pain ability is in your shooting or fight phase, you empower it, and after you resolve its attacks, if 1 or more enemy models were destroyed, so not units, just models, you regain up to 3 wounds for 1 model in the unit, because it can be up to 2 models in the unit. And if all models in this unit have their starting number of wounds and they're below starting strength, you can bring back a Kronos with 3 wounds left. Like, it's an odd force multiplier, like resource gain, like,
I mean,
system.
Kronos was always about being like the pain engine that came through, and it kind of was auxiliary to your main forces.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it's probably too expensive for its main ability, and its pain ability is then, I don't know. I don't like it as much. If the pain ability was a built-in thing, I think it'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what you give this as a pain ability then. So I don't know. Not sold on the Kronos.
Yeah, it's a weird unit. And it's always been a weird unit, and it continues to be a weird unit. Is it a bad unit? I don't think it's bad. I think it's just weird.
Depends on how it's costed. If it was cheap enough, you'd run at least 1 or 2, kind of have it hang out in the back by where the units are that you're going to be spending the tokens on.
So I can tell you currently the Kronos is 50 points a model, 85 if you take 2 of them, and according
that's not bad at all.
And according to the codex, they are 55 and 110. We'll see which one rules.
At 55, I would add it 1, maybe 2, depending on how much space I have.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do like the ability of the refund on a 4-up. Because unlike command points, where that's kind of limited, this you can just keep doing over and over again.
And you are going to, and you're going to burn, you have the potential to burn through pain tokens in this army. So anything you can do to recycle those is good. By comparison, in the codex, the Talos is 80 and 160 for 1 or 2, which matches the current points
Killing
cost.
potential.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Talos would kill a lot more things.
Oh, definitely. The Talos is definitely the killier option. Then we've got another odd blades for hire choice, the Mandrakes, which, despite being a kill team, you can actually take in units of 5 or 10. They have no options. They are equipped with Bale Blasts and Glimmer Steel Blades, which the Bale Blast is an assault devastating wounds ranged weapon at 18 inches and ignores cover now. That's a new addition. 2 attacks per model, hitting on 3, strength 5, AP -1, 1 damage, devastating wounds, and assault, so you can charge or you can advance and do it. Their melee weapons are also devastating wounds at 3 attacks each. They did also lose a leadership. They used to have built in, just for free, a redeployability. Like, if they weren't in engagement range at the end of your opponent's fight phase, you could just pull them off the board and put them into reserves. Now, that is their pain ability. You spend a pain token to redeploy them into reserves. Their built-in ability is just 18-inch lone op. And they already have deep strike, infiltrators, and stealth.
I really like this unit because it's you can do lots of things with it because of stealth, infiltrate. You can have them on the board, and the 18-inch load up lets you kind of, like, hopefully have them not shot until they get where they need to be. Because especially with 8-inch movement and then a 12-inch charge, you should be able to stay out of range until you want to be in range.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Deep Strike, I actually am fine with their pain ability being the redeploy, because it feels better in my mind of like I'm spending the resource to have these guys do something rather than it just being an always on thing for like a redeploy. 'Cause that's really big, especially when that unit has Deep Strike.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can just pull it off, and then they can be wherever they need to be. And I don't know, it's a good covert unit to try and like take something out. But once again, the downside, the -1 AP, 1 damage is back in the day, these guys were scary. Now I think they'd just be a mild annoyance.
Mm-hmm. And they themselves are very squishy and are hoping that stealth and their invulnerable save will help them, because they are T3 1 wound with a 7-up save.
Yeah.
So they are very squishy.
Yes.
All right, then moving on to our last 2 infantry units. And you may say, well, what do you mean 2 infantry units? Did they add 1? No, they just took Scourges and split them in half because they can't balance them point-wise. So we have 2 Scourge options. There's Scourges with heavy weapons. These are the guys who have wings bolted onto their backs because they can. They are blades for hire, so they don't fall under any of the other groups technically, although they play more in the Cabal space generally. The Scourges with heavy weapons is pretty much the old Scourge unit. Their ability is still jump, shoot, jump, where they have a 14-inch normal move, and then after shooting, they can make a 6-inch move if they're not in engagement range, and then can't charge, but that's pretty standard for jump, shoot, jump style.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And then they have all the standard guns, the Dark Lance, Haywire Blasters, Heat Lances, Splinter Cannons. They can take Shard Carbines. Why would you? Especially when we get to the other Scourge unit, you'll see it's like any number of Scourges can replace their Splinter Cannon with, like, the only one who comes with a Shard Carbine by default is their Sergeant, who can take a pistol and a power weapon. You might.
I mean, the Sergeant's just there to take a wound for one of the other guys.
Right, exactly. Whereas everybody else can have any of the heavier guns. And then besides the jump, shoot, jump, and obviously they have Deep Strike, they have their pain ability is Winged Strike. When they make a range attack, you can just reroll hit rolls. They are just a very solid, heavy weapon unit.
And you might need those reroll hit rolls because all of those heavy weapons are hitting on 4s.
Right, because they are heavy. They want you to like get into a position, and if you're standing still, it's not a great place to be as a Scourge, because you are still pretty squishy. You T3, 4-up, 5-up, but if nothing else, you could move after you shoot, so you could theoretically get into a position and the next turn shoot and then move, even if you're only moving 6 inches. Now, on the other hand, you have the Scourges with Shard Carbines. So this is the all anti-infantry Scourge unit. They are all equipped with Shard Carbines. The Sergeant can have either a pistol and a power weapon or a blaster or shredder. And blasters are basically similar to like a plasma gun without hazardous. But the big thing is all of these are also assault options. So this is the unit that, while you can Deep Strike, they are better off moving around on the board really quickly and shooting things, especially infantry. Their ability is Murderous Crossfire. You basically, after you shoot, you pick a unit that you tagged with the attack, and until the end of the phase, all your other Drukhari units improve their AP by 1 against the target, but a unit can only be affected by 1 copy of this ability at a time. So you can't stack it up. That's
actually really good, though. Even though just having 1 -1, making everything else better. So I think these have uses because of just that ability, and then whatever their pain ability is.
And their pain ability is a 6-inch Deep Strike.
Okay, I don't really care about that as much.
Their pain ability, like, I would never Deep Strike this unit that close.
Yeah, this feels like I'm going to, but even then, they're only 18-inch range with the guns that you have to shoot. So, and you don't get okay. I think there'd be a one-time use, hit somebody, and then these guys are going to get shot off the board. Nah, I don't like them anymore.
Yeah, like the crossfire ability is interesting, but there's the rest of it just doesn't. If the weapons were rapid fire and had an 18-inch, well, no, even then the 6-inch. then the 6-inch deep strike would make sense. It's like, okay, now I can get within rapid fire range and really unload on something.
I was going the other way. I wished they were 24 inches so I could like have them a bit further to shoot something to remove its cover.
Oh, I
not remove the do the -1 and then hopefully not be charged.
Yeah, it's like I agree with you. I think that would play well with the non-pain ability. With the way the pain ability is worded, if their weapon range was, or if they had a way to get more shots at half range, it's like these 3 components don't add up quite right.
Okay, I actually still have a sprue of scourges from one of the Dark Eldar box sets. I hadn't built them yet, but based on this, I think I'd go heavy weapons.
Yeah. I think the heavy weapon is still the classic Scourge is still the best choice.
Although the part I don't like about them is their wings are wide, the heavy weapon guns are long. They don't really fit in any carrier well at all. So
this unit yearned for magnetic tray cases before magnetic tray cases were a thing.
I mean, that is true.
And then let's get to our last 3 units, which are our transports and other vehicles. So we start off with the Raider. Again, +1 leadership. The Raider is fast, but a little bit flimsy. 14 inches, T8, a 4-up, 6-up save, 10 wounds, and OC2. It can pack either a Dark Lance or a Disintegrator Cannon up front. I think the Dark Lance is generally the better choice because you have plenty of anti-infantry. You need things that can take out non-infantry.
Yep.
I thought it was interesting that the Blade Veins and Chain Snares, their melee weapons, actually have an AP now. Instead of being AP 0, they're AP 1. And they're interesting how they worded their abilities, because they used to just have ether sails, which was like reroll, advance, and charge rolls, and that was their ability. Now they do the modal thing where at the start of your command phase you choose one of 4 abilities. Now remember back when we were talking about Kabalite Warriors, you're like, man, it was Kabalite Warriors used to be able to sticky objectives from transports, and I said wait till we get to the transports. This is why. So, So their first ability, Masters of the Shadowed Sky, at the end of your command phase, if this model is within range of an objective marker you control, and if 1 or more Kabalite Warriors units are embarked within it, then you sticky it.
Okay. So that's where it went.
Yeah, that's where it went. Then you've got Speed of the Kill. Each time a Witch's unit disembarks from this model, not counting emergency disembarkation, so if the model blows up, that doesn't count. Models in the Witch's unit must be set up wholly within 6 inches of the model instead of 3.
Oh gosh, that's useful. That's 3 extra inches if you have the Witches there. As long as this doesn't move, so you can get out and charge. That's like get out 6, move 8. There's 14. You got 12 for your charge. Wow.
Yeah, and then Visions of Butchery. While 1 or more Rax units are embarked within this model, for each Rax model embarked within this model, add 1 to the attacks of their Blade Veins and Chain Snares, which is already D3 plus 3. So you could have up to 10 racks on there. So that would be D3 plus 13.
Oh, gosh. that would make this a killing machine.
Yeah. And then finally, ether sails. So like if you aren't in range of doing like the melee thing, or you're not near an objective, or you're not going to be disembarking witches, you can just re-roll advance and charge rolls. And then their pain ability is the Splinter Racks, which used to be like an upgrade. If 1 or more units are embarked within this model, each time this model makes an attack with a ranged weapon that has the anti-ability, re-roll hit rolls. And this does have firing deck 11.
Oh, yeah. It's well, back in the day, it's an open top vehicle. So, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, if you've got a squad of Kabalite Warriors with splinter rifles, you're re-rolling all their hit rolls if you spend a pain token. Or Racks, like their Ossifactor. Wait, I mean, they're only 1 shot each. I don't think I'd waste the pain token there to re-roll that 1, but really plays nicely into Kabalite Warriors, though, being on Raiders.
Well, I was also thinking maybe, what's it say for its transport infantry?
Capacity of 11 infantry models, excluding jump pack.
Okay. Hand of the Archon would be another good unit.
Hand of the Archon plus a character.
Because they've got the same weapons that so Kabalites of some sort.
Yep. Then you've got the Ravager, which is your Raider with 2 extra guns taped to it. It used to have the ability to just re-roll hit rolls of 1 against a unit that was at starting strength. Now you just re-roll hit rolls against a target at starting strength. So that's just better. And then the pain ability is okay. Basically, after you hit a unit with one of their weapons, you suppress it. And that means they're -1 to hit.
That's not bad, but
It's not bad. I don't think it's worth a pain token, though, unless you
No, I agree.
absolutely need to like make somebody hit worse.
the Ravagers are still my favorite anti-vehicle unit they have, just because you can
Mhm.
take 3 Dark Lances. That's 3 strong shots.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hate in a way is the Ravager is actually better in all ways than the Razorwing Jet Fighter, which was supposed to be their I'm going to kill things.
Yeah.
Because the Jet Fighter has less wounds, less toughness, less weaponry,
No OC.
no OC. Yeah, no, that's what always what made me sad is the Ravagers is that good that their airplane, which is supposed to be better, is just not as good. But yeah, 2 Ravagers, that would be like 6 strength 12, D6 plus 2, AP -3. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're firing at a unit that hasn't been hit yet, that's 3 shots that reroll hits. Yeah, like the Ravager is a really solid choice. It's a really, really solid choice. And then finally, the Venom. The Venom, like, and again, all of these have gotten +1 leadership. Pretty much every unit, once we got to like Succubus, like every unit's been +1 leadership. But the Venom is kind of a soft, squishy transport that only holds 6 models. But it does have the option of a splinter cannon or a twin splinter rifle up top. And it has the ability that it had in the index where you could embark on it if you were within 6 inches instead of just within 3. Their pain ability is rapid deployment. You can disembark after advancing if you spend a pain token.
Yeah, but can you charge after disembarking? I'm guessing not.
So no, you can't. It specifically says you can't declare a charge
Right.
that turn.
So just like all the others that are like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's already firing dex 6, so it's not like you have to get out to shoot.
Right. I do find it interesting that the combat squad ability it has is only for Cabalite Warriors or Witches. Because I just checked, Hand of the Archon does not have Cabalite Warrior keyword, so it is specifically just those 2 units.
Yes.
So Hand of the Archon is always 10, can't get in Venoms.
Yeah, the Hand of the Archon refuses to split up. They're too important.
Mhm.
And also, Rob, this makes me think of, I'd heard one of the rationales, I guess, behind the changes. What I'm thinking is Cabalite Warriors in the past, you could split into 2 Venoms and suddenly you can sticky with both Venoms. And maybe that's why they moved the ability to the
Raider.
Yes, because in that way, the intention was the Raider to be the thing that stickies things instead of like the Venoms going around.
And that's
sense.
probably a healthier way to do that for the game. I think that's fine.
Yeah. And the fact that they still have it, it's just you have to be in Raiders. That's not that bad.
Yeah.
Raiders are still solid.
Raiders are still a really good choice. So that's all the data sheets. That is the army right there. So we'll get into detachments, and this one's kind of interesting in that Drukhari are special in that they had 2 index detachments because the first one was real bad. Like it did not do well. So they added the second one to kind of give Drukhari players an extra option. They've since had a third option added with the Grotmus detachment, which is very popular. But we're going to talk about the 5 in the book and start off with the real Space Raiders, which is that original Drukhari detachment updated for the codex. In the old version, it was, hey, at the start of the battle, you gain an additional pain token if your army contains an Archon, 1 if you contain 1 or more Succubus, and 1 if you contain 1 or more Homunculus models, and they were cumulative. Now it's you gain 2 pain tokens at the beginning of the battle for each of the following: 1 or more Archons and 1 or more Cabalite Warriors, or 1 or more Succubi and 1 or more Witches, or 1 or more Homunculus models and 1 or more Racks. They do specify they don't have to be attached to each other. So it could be an Archon attached to a Hand of the Archon, as long as there is also a Cabalite Warrior unit somewhere in the army. It's more pain tokens, but the requirements are a little bit tighter. So your enhancements are very similar, but somewhat different. You've got Dark Vitality, which can be on any Drukhari model. You are always empowered. You do not need to spend pain tokens to activate your pain abilities.
Oh, God. I feel like that's a must take.
especially like on a succubus.
That's exactly where I was thinking.
Yep. Because that makes no sense for homunculus. You can't like what how do you like I'm always just restoring stuff in my command phase. Like that one doesn't quite make sense. Like on an archon it's okay, but on a succubus to get
Oh my gosh.
to the reroll advance and charge, and your witches are always advancing and charging.
Yes, I like that so much.
Yeah. Then you've got labyrinthine cunning, which was in the index, but it's worded a little bit differently because of the change in rules. So at the start, for an archon only, at the start of your command phase, if the bear is on the battlefield, you can do one of the following: spend a pain token to get a command point, or get a command point on a 4-up.
That's actually not bad. I like that. I wish I could have had, instead of the roll for command point for Votann, also spend a yield point as an option. I'd do that.
And to compare to the old version used to be whenever the bear's unit was targeted with a stratagem, you rolled a d6 and you added 3 if it was a particular stratagem, and on a 4-up you'd get a command point back. This is just better. This is just so better in every way.
Yeah.
Eye of Spite for the succubus. This is again similar to their old one, which was Blood Dancer. So succubus only, improve the attacks and AP of their weapons by 1. Each time the bear's unit is selected to fight, you can spend a pain token. If you do, improve the attacks and AP by 2 instead.
I'll take Dark Vitality.
Dark Vitality is super good. And then finally, the Crucible of Malediction, which was for homunculus only, and this one's really not changed much at all, other than it triggers into pain tokens. Once per battle in your shooting phase, the bear can use this enhancement. If it does, you can spend a pain token. Then each enemy unit within 12 inches must make a battle shock test, subtracting 1 from the test if you spend a pain token, and each time a psyker unit fails that test, they suffer 3 mortal wounds. So it's a battle shock bomb that might hurt psykers.
Not sold.
Yeah, there's a couple here. Dark Vitality and Labyrinthine Cunning are very, very good.
Those would be the 2 I would lean into.
Eye of Spite, is not bad, but I wouldn't run it unless I had 2 succubi. And then Crucible of Malediction is fine, I guess. And then you've got your strats. There's Insensitive Pain, which was in the index. Target 1 homunculus covens unit from your army that has been shot at or fought. Subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of the attack, which might help keep those racks alive longer. Fighting Shadows. In the opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, just after they've selected their targets, you pick a non-homunculus coven unit that was selected. They're -1 to be hit. Also, I want to point out that Insensible to Pain is 2 CP, so it's very expensive. It was only 1 CP in the index, so it's 2 CP now. Instinctive Spite. In your shooting phase or fight phase, select either 2 battle line or 1 regular unit. You can spend a pain token until the end of the phase. Each time one of those units attacks a unit that is below half strength, add 1 to the hit roll. If you spent a pain token, add 1 to the wound roll as well. Okay. Which, good for finishing off a unit.
Yes.
Which you're going to spend a pain token to hopefully get that pain token back. So theoretically, all you might spend on this is a CP if you're lucky. Dark Harvest, in the start of the fight phase, select either 2 rack units or 1 regular, 1 other Drukhari unit. They get lethal hits in the melee phase, in the fight phase. Eager for the Kill, start of your movement phase, select either 2 witches or 1 regular unit. They auto advance 6. They do specify it is not cumulative with reavers. So you cannot auto advance 14.
Right. But still, I was more thinking this for the advance and charge.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, God. Witches have some threat range now.
Oh, and if you put them in the Raider and have the Raider move on turn 1, then turn 2, you can get out 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this.
6 inches plus 14 inches of movement with the advance, plus an advance and charge that you can reroll.
Yes.
There's nothing that's safe. Plus, don't forget, you can also deep strike a Raider.
True. But you couldn't deep strike till turn 2, meaning you couldn't get them out really until turn 3.
True.
So at least if the Raider was on board on turn 2, you could get that charge off.
Yeah. So, but like you have lots of, like, there's nothing that can hide from a unit of witches that wants to get into combat with you.
That is fair.
And remember, also turn 1, you use the ether sails on that Raider to re-roll your advance roll to really get it where you want it.
Sure.
And then finally, Raid and Fade. This one is also 2 CP. You select up to 2 Kabalite Warriors units or 1 Drukhari unit from your army, not counting Scourges or aircraft. You just get a free move of up to 6 inches at the end of your shooting phase. So you jump, shoot, jump Kabalite Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid detachment. I think, I mean, you could definitely put Homunculus Coven units in here. I think Kabalites and Witches get the best out of this detachment.
I mean, I will agree, and that's kind of how I played Drukhari back when I actually played them. But the weird thing is, there's 3 of the 6 stratagems tie into Homunculus Covens or racks?
2 of them do. 1 of them will work for any Drukhari unit. The only one that is otherwise like Homunculus Covens only is Insensible to Pain, which costs 2 CP.
Which
you're never right. So I think you run Kabalites and Witches. You start with 4 extra pain tokens.
That's a good jumping off point.
Yeah. And then you have Dark Vitality, so you have 1 unit you never have to spend pain tokens on.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. I like it.
Moving on to the other index detachment, the Sky Splinter Assault. This is your transport detachment. This did not change at all. It is identical to the index version.
I mean, I'm just glancing through it. It doesn't look good.
So it was doing decent when it first dropped. It's since been replaced with like the Reaper's Wager.
Right.
But basically, when you get out of a transport, your ranged weapons get ignore cover, your melee weapons get lance. Your enhancements are Phantasmal Smoke. When the Bears unit gets out of a transport, the unit has stealth, and they get cover if they ever get shot at.
Which is actually, fun. You don't have to get out as long as you're within 6 inches.
Or within 6. So basically, as long as you're within 6, the transport is just pumping out smoke.
Yeah.
Sadistic Fulcrum. Every time you spend a pain token to empower the unit in the shooting phase, you select a transport within 6 inches. Anytime they make an attack, you reroll the hit roll, which means you're rerolling the hits on like your Venoms or a Dark Lance. Yeah, like it's not bad.
Not
Spiteful Raider. Each time the barrier's unit destroys an enemy unit in the fight phase, if the enemy unit was within range of 1 or more objective markers, you get an additional pain token. So if you push somebody off an objective.
Okay.
And then Nightmare Shroud. Each time the barrier's unit disembarks from a transport, they can't be overwatched.
That one's actually useful.
Mm-hmm.
And then your strats. Vicious Blades. In the fight phase, after a transport has selected its targets.
Oh, gosh.
After your transport has fought, select an enemy unit that was targeted by that unit. Roll a d6 for each model embarked within your transport, adding 1 to the result of the embarked model's Arax model. For each 5 up, the unit suffers a mortal wound to a maximum of 6. That's one where maybe you'd load up you have that one like melee missile raider full of Arax.
I mean, you're not wrong, but man.
Wraith-like Retreat. At the end of the fight phase, you select an infantry unit that fought this phase. They can make a normal fallback move. Unless it's a Witch's unit, it must end that model wholly within 3 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically of a friendly Drukhari transport and must embark within the transport at the end of the move. So the Witches can just make a normal move. Everybody else has to hop back into a transport. Pounce on the prey. In your movement phase, just after one of your infantry units disembarks from a transport made a normal move, they can charge.
Okay, that would be super useful then.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to be sold on this detachment a little bit. I still think I like the first one better.
All right. Skyborn Annihilation. In your shooting phase, you select a Drukhari unit that has not been selected to shoot and that disembarked this turn. Until the end of the phase, they have sustained hits 1 or sustained hits 2 if they are Kabalite Warriors or Hand of the Archon.
Yeah, I can already do that with my Voton. Next.
Except these aren't Voton.
Mm-hmm.
Swooping Mockery. It's a reactive move. Somebody ends a move within 9 inches of your transport. The transport can move up to 6 inches. And then Night Shield. Somebody targets one of your vehicles with a shooting attack. You have a 4-up invulnerable phase.
I mean, not bad. Once again, other than the rack missile, I would probably lean into Witches and some Kabalite Warriors, but the Witch is supposedly to like do the pounce on the prey to assault, and I guess the sustain for the Kabalite Warriors. But there's really no good like CP generator that you'd probably need.
Oh, well, I think with this one, like Pounce on the Prey, like you're going to use that once, maybe twice. Skyborn Annihilation, you're going to use that once,
maybe twice.
Maybe twice, yeah.
And Pounce on the Prey with Nightmare Shroud, so you can not have Overwatch on you while you're doing that, is also amazing.
Yeah, so like there's some combos in here. Like it's not a terrible detachment.
No.
And if you're going to lean into transports pretty heavily, it actually could be pretty decent. Like I said, when they first dropped this Sky Splinter Assault, like it wasn't like burning up the charts, but it did a lot better than the old Real Space did.
I mean, I could see that. And truthfully, with Drukhari, that toughness 3 really is a detriment. So having metal boxes, so to speak, to protect you as you're getting places is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see leaning into transports just by default, but I think I might still lean into Real Space just because of the extra stuff you get.
Yeah. And then we get into our specific sub-faction detachments. So we've got like the Witch Cult detachment, the Coven detachment, the Cabal detachment. So we'll start with the Witch Cult detachment, the Spectacle of Spite. Your detachment rule, combat drugs. They're back on the menu, baby. At the start of the command phase, you select which combat drugs will be active. You can either pick one or roll randomly for 2. If you roll doubles, too bad, you only get 1. And they are active for everybody in the army at once. So your options are Adrenalite, add 1 to your attacks to Witch Cult units. Hypex, add 2 to the movement of Witch Cult models. Serpentin, add 1 to your weapon skill. Painbringer, add 1 to your toughness. And remember, you can pick that one. Grave Lotus, add 1 to your strength. And Splinter Mind, add 1 to the leadership and improve your ballistic characteristic for ranged weapons by 1. 6 is probably the weakest one of that group.
The best. Yeah, it might be they might do them in order because definitely 1 and 2 are needed. Because I was thinking strength is important, but you've got so many well, maybe they don't on theirs anymore. Nope, they don't. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Grave Lotus is good. Painbringer is good. I think Serpentin and Splinter Mind are the least needed.
Yeah.
You're already hitting on 3s with a lot of stuff. Splinter Mind, you do have some units with shooting, but I don't really think you need to make your Reavers that much better. Your enhancements, the Pharmacophects, and all of these are Succubus model only because, again, this is the Witch Cult detachment. At the start of your command phase, after selecting which combat drugs will be active for your army, roll 1d6. The bearer gets a separate combat drug. Although, again, if you roll something that is already in effect, too bad. If it didn't have that last clause, this would be a much better choice. But especially if you've rolled for 2 of them, you have a really good chance of rolling one of those 2 again.
No, it's only a 33% chance.
Yeah, there's still a 1 in 3 chance that your ability does nothing.
Yeah, and there's normally a 1 in 3 chance of killing a Space Marine if you've got AP 0. So
let's see. Chrono Shard. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase, your unit gains fights first.
Yeah, I mean that's nice, but you've already got it with the Lilith unit. But I guess having a second unit with that is fine.
Periaptive Torments. I think this one's going to be auto take for you, Dennis. No Overwatch against you.
Yes, that is an auto take. That is an auto take.
And then Morgana's Curse, improve your AP and damage characteristics on your weapon, on the bearer's weapon by 1. It's okay.
I'm not as fond of things that are only on the bearer.
I agree. I agree. But yeah, Periaptive Torments is pretty solid. Although I would say just looking at the detachment rules and the enhancements, I still think I'm kind of like Real Space Raiders is still better.
I am leaning that way as well. I mean, I like the concept of this being just an all witch detachment, but yeah, having extra shooting from them is nice.
Yeah. So let's see how the strats do for us. We've got Berserk Fugue, which is 2 command points. After an enemy unit has selected one of your Witch Cult units, they automatically fight on death.
I mean, I'm kind of okay with that because all the other fight on deaths are like 4 up, 5 up, 3 up, 2 up.
Yeah, generally, if you want an auto one, you have to pay more for it. So 2 command points is not bad there. And witches are squishy, so fight on death is a thing that's probably going to happen from time to time.
And the fact that it's after they're selected, so it's not like at the start of the fight phase type thing.
Yeah, it's not like the Talos.
Yeah, the Talos was not good.
Deadly Debut in your fight phase. One Drukhari unit from your army that has made a charge move this turn and has not been selected to fight this phase. They have lethal hits. If it's a Witches unit, until the end of the phase, their AP improves by 1 as well.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah, with the strength in this army, lethal hits is really solid.
And I believe their weapons are -1 now. So
yeah, -1 AP, so -2 AP will make those wounds stick better.
Yes.
Feigned Weakness for 1 command point. After you fall back, you can shoot and charge. I mean, and it's for any Drukhari unit.
That's one of the just go-to. I like this stratagem. It's great.
Yeah. Preternatural Agility at the start of your movement or charge phase. Select a Witch Cult unit. And remember, Witch Cult is Witches, Succubi, Lilith, Reavers, Hellions. So lots of options there. Until the end of the phase, each time your unit makes a normal, advance, or charge move, ignore any modifiers to movement or advance or charge rolls. And until the end of the turn, you can move through models.
I've seen that used so well in different things, and it's great if you've got an assault army because people will try and screen you with another unit. Mm-hmm. And now you can just say, nope, I'm moving through you and them so I can get to the back, and hi, we're fighting.
Yep. A challenge met. This one's also 2 command points. At the end of your opponent's movement phase, 1 Witch Cult unit from your army that would be able to declare a charge if it were your phase. You select an enemy unit within 9 inches and you charge. So it's not even heroically intervene. It's just like, oh, I'm going to charge you on your turn, but you don't get the fight's first charge bonus.
Gosh. Well, you don't, but if you're doing it with a witch unit, you're probably going to have it either be Lilith or the one that has fights first. Well, you're the defender then on their turns. You normally fight first before them because they can't charge you.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. So you would go after their chargers, but yeah, you would get it 1 chance to fight first.
Yeah, this is definitely worth the 2 CP because it is a big disruptor for their army because you do it at their movement phase. Ouch.
So yeah, they wouldn't even get a chance to charge into you yet, to like charge anybody else in. So you could like oh, you lined up to charge me. No, I'm charging you first.
Yeah, and the fact that it's on their turn, then you're locked in the fight phase. They didn't.
Also means they can't shoot you.
Right, they can't shoot you. They don't get their charge bonus of fight first, so you're the ones who can take the first swings at them. So, ouch.
You could even do it on the unit that has periaptive torments up, so they can't overwatch you either.
I don't think you can overwatch.
You can overwatch anything because you still declare a charge, so you can overwatch somebody who declares a charge.
Okay. Got it.
Because you can also overwatch in the movement phase.
Right. And this is still in the movement phase.
Yeah. And then acrobatic display, when somebody shoots at one of your witches unit or witch cult units, they have a 5-up invulnerable save. So their save goes from a 6-up to a 5-up.
This is one you hope you don't have to use because you're wanting to get them into melee as soon as you can, really.
I think because witch cults have enough things that can deal with more powerful targets like the Reaver shooting, and you'd have access to like transports, and you could pad out with like Ravagers if you needed to,
or Scourges. Yeah,
this one's not bad.
No, I think I'm leaning it. I would like this one just to probably maybe try it out sometime because I run a lot of witch cults. I have a bazillion jet bikes. Well, maybe not a bazillion, but a lot of jet bikes because you guys know me. But yeah. I still think the Real Space Raiders is the one that's getting I really
got the most attention.
Yeah, but I do like some of the things this can do for the witch cults. I don't know. It would be a play with both and see how it lands.
Yep. All right, moving on. We've got the Covenite Coterie. This is your Homunculus Covens detachment. And your detachment rule is each time an attack targets a Homunculus Covens unit from your army, if the strength characteristic is greater than your toughness, subtract 1 from the wound roll. It's transhuman physiology across the board for your Homunculus Covens units, which is a good ability. And a lot of stuff is going to be stronger than your toughness.
It's a good ability, but I like the Votan's version better. And then I definitely like the Dark Angel detachment better because the Dark Angel is for the whole army. This is for Homunculus Covens units.
Yeah. And I think this is one where losing this grotesques hurts this detachment also, because that's an extra option choice, extra unit choice. Also, losing Urian Rakarth as a character available hurts this as well.
They need like 1 or 2 more units. I agree.
Agreed. So your enhancements, Master Regenicist. And again, all these are going to be homunculus only. Each time the bearer uses the fleshcraft ability, you return D3 plus 3 bodyguards instead of D3 plus 1.
Okay.
So as long as there's like 1 rack left in the unit, you can, like, if you were rolling a unit of 5 racks, you can basically refill the unit every turn as long as one of them survives.
Yeah.
Master Nemesine. The bearer's weapons have anti-beast 2-up and anti-monster 4-up, and if there were more armies where that mattered against it, that would mean something. Otherwise, that is just the screw you Tyranid weapon, but it's only on the homunculus himself.
Please be a 5-point cost thing, because if it's any more, it's not even worth it. It's not even worth the 5.
No, it is not. Now, on the other hand, Master Artisan, this one might also be a must-take along with Regenicist. Add 1 to the bearer's wounds characteristic and add 1 to the toughness characteristic of models in the bearer's unit.
Okay, that's useful.
Yeah, because now he's running around with tough 5 racks, and 4 to 5 makes a big difference when it comes to infantry.
Yes.
And then finally, Master Repugnomancer.
What a word.
Yeah, focusing all their study on the art of triggering instinctive revulsion and horror. They're the gross kid from school that like to gross people out. Like they're even considered gauche by homunculi standards, according to the flavor text. So you add 3 inches to the range of their 6-inch fear aura. So the -1 leadership and force battle shock tests. And each time a friendly Drukhari unit within 9 inches of the bearers fails a battle shock test or is destroyed, roll a d6 on a 4-up, you get a pain token. So if your own units fail battle shock tests or are destroyed, you get pain tokens too.
I mean, that's actually not too bad, because it reminds me of Khorne. Khorne doesn't care where the blood flows. Well, this guy doesn't care where the pain comes from.
Yep. So, hey, it's a good thing that there's one that's crap, because 3 of these are pretty good. But Master Nemesine, no one should ever take Master Nemesine. Even if you knew you were playing against an army that was like monster or beast heavy, it's on 1 homunculus's weapons. It's not on his unit's weapons. It's on 1 homunculus. It is not worth taking. I would argue at 5 points, it is not worth taking when you have 3 better options.
Yeah.
So, your strats, post-mortality, and any phase when your homunculus model was just destroyed, you can spend 1 to 3 pain tokens along with the 1 command point and bring it back with that many wounds. And you can't bring the same homunculus back more than once per battle. And they do also specify you can't use this if you have no pain tokens.
Sure you can. Spend the CP, bring him back with 0 life.
And then he immediately dies.
Yeah.
Symphony of Suffering. Just after a Drukhari unit from your army destroys another unit in the fight phase, every enemy unit within 9 inches and visible to your unit must make a battle shock test, subtracting 1 if your unit is homunculus covens. Which, if you send like a Talos in to mess with somebody and break them, that's not bad. Poisoner's Art. In the fight phase, just after homunculus covens unit from your army has fought, you select an enemy unit hit by one or more of your unit's attacks. Until the end of the phase, they're poisoned. At the start of each command phase, roll for a d6 for each poison unit on the battlefield. On a 4-up, it suffers d3 mortal wounds. You can base a unit into Fulgrim.
Oh gosh, that's nasty.
And they're poisoned for the rest of the game.
Right, that's why I say it's nasty, because if it was just a one-time thing, I'm like, oh, whatever. But the fact that it's going to stay, as long as you can get this off early, would be really nice.
Yeah. Distillers of Fear for 2 command points. A homunculus coven unit has not been selected to fight this phase. Each time they make an attack in the fight phase that targets an enemy unit that is battle shocked, the attack has devastating wounds.
Okay.
It requires a couple of steps, and it is expensive.
Yeah.
For a strat. And you don't really have command point generation here, so
I don't know if it'd be that useful. It's situational. It's a finishing move.
Yeah, it absolutely is a finishing move. Connoisseurs of Pain. In the opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, just after they've selected one of your Drukhari units, doesn't have to be covens, although covens do it better. You spend a pain token until the end of the phase. It's basically Armor of Contempt. Okay. Although, again, remember, balanced data slate will override codex. That will only last for 1 unit, 1 set of attacks, not the whole phase.
Right.
And then at the end of the phase, if your unit is still on the battlefield and it's a homunculus covens unit, you get your pain token back. So you have to spend a pain token, but if you're using it with coven unit, You just had to have the pain token to start with. And then Enfolding Nightmare, in your opponent's shooting phase, just after they shot at one of your Homunculus Coven units, you roll a d6. Your unit can be moved a number of inches up to the result, but it must end up as close as possible to the closest enemy unit. You can end up, basically it's a surge move. You can end up in engagement range.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm not. If they had like more homunculus units, I think this would be fine.
Yeah. Having grotesques as an option would be really great. Having something other than just Rex and like the Talos and Chronos, not bad for this. I can totally see the Talos getting some work done with some of these.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like this list is going to be a little thin on options in a way that the Spectacle is not. And then finally, the Kabalite Cartel. This is your Cabal and Blades for Hire units, which is good because if it was just Cabal, we'd be looking at the same problem we have with Homunculus Covens. There's like 2 Cabal units and 2 characters. But by adding the Blades for Hire, you also add Incubi and Scourges. So that gives you a lot more options there.
And Mandrakes.
And Mandrakes, yes.
Don't forget them.
Yeah. At the start of the first battle round, you select a contract. Then you select a unit from your opponent's army that matches the contract description. Until that contract is completed, which you complete by killing the contract unit. Until the contract is completed, units from the unit is your contract unit, and Cabal and Blade for Hire units from your army have the ability stated on that contract at the start of your command phase. If the contract unit is destroyed, the contract is completed, which means you will lose that ability, but you gain 3 pain tokens.
I mean, this kind of reminds me of the old Votann grudge tokens of at the start of the thing, you pick the units. If you kill one, then you'll get a bunch of command points based on the thing. And here it's pain tokens instead of that. But I mean, it was kind of like, here's your target, go kill it.
Right. And spoilers, there's a strat that lets you grab a new contract once you fulfill one.
Woohoo!
Which you would have to have for this detachment. Like, this detachment would kind of fall apart if it was just a one and done.
Yeah.
So your options are Trophy Hunters. You select a character unit as your contract, and each time a Cabal or Blades for Hire model in this unit makes an attack that targets the contract unit, those attacks are precision.
Oh gosh, I'm thinking that's what some Incubi.
Mm-hmm.
So Fear and Terror. The target is 1 infantry or mounted unit, excluding units containing only character models. At the start of your command phase, this contract is completed if all non-character models in that unit are destroyed. So if you just kill a bodyguard unit, leave the character standing, it is still considered to be completed. And each time a Cabal or Blades for Hire model in this unit makes an attack that targets an infantry or mounted unit, that attack has the sustained hits 1 ability. Now notice, it's not that targets the contract unit, it's just targets an infantry or mounted unit.
So this one, you have to decide, do I want the 3 pain tokens or do I just want to keep this ability around?
Right. And Show of Strength, contract, 1 monster or vehicle unit, ability, each time a Cabal or Blades for Hire model in this unit makes an attack that targets a monster or vehicle unit, the attack has lethal hits.
So same thing. You
Same
want
thing,
to kill your contract target last, so that way you can keep lethal hits for all the others.
Right. Yeah,
These
so
are
Trophy
nice.
Hunters is the only one where it's like you pick a unit, you only get the benefit against that unit.
No, these are not, because giving your whole arm, because that's one of the things I saw with like the Blood Claws from Space Wolves is that lethal hits just was tearing through monsters. So the fact that you can give your whole army that, or Cabal and Blades for Hire, which will probably be your whole army. Yeah, that'll help you tear through monsters and vehicles.
Right, especially it's like now all those anti-infantry guns you have will actually have a better chance to, in this case, I almost kind of wonder, I'm hoping this is intentional because, again, the way this is kind of worded, and the thing is, this still would work because of having the strat, which we'll get to, that lets you pick a new target, a new contract, and there's no, you can't pick, I don't believe you can't pick a contract you've already had. So you could just keep moving from unit to unit. But I do think it is interesting that it's based on, except for the character one, they're based on type of unit. You still have to pick a unit that matches that type, but you could just ignore that unit if you know, Like, you're not going to do anything with that unit. I will just go kill other things that kind of are like it. Anyway, so enhancements. Leechbite Plate, and all of these are going to be Archon model only because it's the Cabal. The bearer has a save characteristic of 3 up, and at the start of either player's command phase, you can spend a pain token. If you do, you regain all lost wounds. Which, remember, Archons are only 4 wounds.
That does not say once per battle either.
It's not once per battle. It's not once per battle round. As long as you survive the fight. As long as you can survive the fight, you can be back at full by spending a pain point, which you will get at the command phase on your turn.
Yeah. No, that's pretty useful, especially if you're trying to make this your warlord and just trying to keep them alive.
Webway Owl. Models in the bear's unit have deep strike, and you can rapid ingress for free.
Okay, that's useful. That is very useful.
Informant Network. At the start of the declare battle formation step, select up to 3 Kabalite warriors or Hand of the Archon units from your army. They gain infiltrators.
That's also useful, especially with the Hand of the Archon having scouts afterwards.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, wow.
And then Towering Arrogance. While the bearer is leading a unit, improve their leadership and objective control characteristic of models in the unit by 1. So now you can have 40 OC with that.
I have to say, of the 4, that's probably the weakest, and that's a decent one too.
Yeah, this is good enhancements all the way around, and a very interesting detachment rule. Let's get into the stratagems. Double cross in the fight phase. Yeah, the flavor text. What better way to eliminate rivals than tricking them into taking the blade meant for your ribs? In the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, select a Cabal or Blades for hire unit from your army that was selected the target of 1 or more attacks, and 1 friendly non-vehicle Drukhari unit until the end of the phase. Each time you would allocate an attack to a model in your Cabal or Blades for hire unit. If the Drukhari unit is within engagement range of the attacking model, no saving throw is made for that attack. Instead, your Drukhari unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the damage characteristic of the attack. So you can just throw away the unit you don't care about to preserve the unit you do care about.
Okay, that's very mean and nasty and very Dark Aeldari.
Very Drukhari, yeah. Taken alive in the fight phase. When Drukhari unit from your army that has not been selected to fight, when they do fight, add 1 to the hit roll. If your contract unit is destroyed as a result of those attacks, every unit in your opponent's army must make a battle shock test. You cannot gain more than 3 pain tokens as a result of failed battle shock tests caused by this stratagem. So you kill something and trigger Shadow in the Warp.
Pretty much, yeah. That's actually kind of cool too.
Tailored toxins in the shooting or fight phase. Select one of your Cabal or Blades for hire units to fight or shoot. Until the end of the phase, they crit on 5s
also
to hit. Good. And remember, you can have lethal hits or sustained hits with your contract abilities.
Right.
Oh, each time you make an attack that targets your contract unit.
Oh, okay. Not as
so it's
good,
much more. It's much more. Yeah, which is probably for the best. That could be very abusable otherwise. Enemies without number. This is the one where in your command phase, just after you complete a contract, as long as you have an Archon Warlord, so your Warlord has to be on the table to use this. Select a new contract from those listed opposite. This can be one you've already completed. Then select 1 unit from your opponent's army that is on the battlefield matches. This is your contract unit, and the Murderous Agenda detachment rule applies as normal.
Fair.
So your Warlord has to survive. If you lose your Warlord, you can't pick a new one.
Well, just have him wear that leech bone plate and keep on regenerating.
Yep, and double cross people as necessary.
Oh, man.
Making a point in your shooting phase. Select a Kabalite Warriors or Hand of the Archon unit. Improve their ballistic skill and AP by 1.
Oh, God, that's solid.
And then Deadly Deceivers. In your opponent shooting phase, just after they selected one of your Cabal or Blade for hire units, you gain 18-inch low op.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's good, especially because you can kind of tailor it to at the battle round. Like, okay, so what am I fighting? What am I going to have to deal with?
Right. No, I think overall, I think I would lean towards the Real Space Raiders is my favorite of them, but I do like the Witch one because that's what I like running. But I do think this last one, the Kabalite one, is solid too. So I could see like Kabalites, if you're running them, either this one or Real Space Raiders, or maybe even the Transport, the Sky Splinter. All 3 of them have some benefits. So yeah, in my mind, I like 4 out of the 5 of these.
So looking at the Reaper's Wager, I don't think the army really changes this at all. Other than the one thing you do have to keep in mind. Well, actually, no, you don't even have to keep that in mind. You still get pain tokens even if Harlequin units destroy units. Just anytime an enemy unit is destroyed, you get a pain token.
Cool.
So Reaper's Wager will still be very good with this. I don't think that changes.
Or for some things, it might be better if you've got witches out there with their power from pain abilities.
Right. And that also means you'll have Harlequin units that will generate pain tokens for you, but will never use them.
Yep.
Although they do have, because it's still using pain tokens, because they didn't do like a full rewrite like they did with like Votann, like they have a detachment called Conductor of Torment. This is in your command phase, you can do one of the following. If your Drukhari units are losing the wager, you can gain a pain token. If you do, Drukhari units are now winning the wager. And if Drukhari units are winning, you can discard a pain token. If you do, the Harlequin units are winning the wager.
I mean, that's still fine.
Yeah, so it still works nicely with this. So I think Reaper's Wager will still continue to be a very good choice. I think it might, depending on what you build, like if you still like Harlequins, and I do like that there's still an option to run Harlequins and Drukhari, despite them not being in a codex together, apart from the Inari options, which we will see if they get reworked at all to match, like especially the new Archon model. So yeah, honestly, I think the only one that is of the detachments that is kind of a stinker is the Covenant Coterie, and I think that's just because they lack the unit options to really capitalize on that. I think all the others will work pretty well. I'm curious to see what people do with Spectacle of Spite. I think Kabalite Cartel has some potential to be very interesting. Real Space Raiders is probably, I think, with the better set of enhancements and stratagems they have, I think has some real potential to do work.
And I feel like that'll be the go-to one.
Most likely. It's the one that is going to be good no matter what you take. It won't penalize you for taking like a mixed force and getting the best of all options. So yeah, that is Drukhari, the last of the 10th edition codexes. We have done the thing. Woo-hoo. We had that's the last book until they decide to release like a second Space Marine codex.
I mean, they could have like a Christmas time thing where they surprise us with a new faction.
Mm-hmm.
They could April Fools us a new faction next year before the new edition. So
okay, I'm gonna throw this out there. Based on the number of times armies have had to have their rules rewritten, they have enough factions. If they add any more, they won't be able to. They'll forget how to balance anything.
No, yeah, I agree, and that's why I think Harlequins and Ynnari got pulled into the Aeldari Codex. So I mean, I do agree with that.
I agree with that, but also like Zotes are right there and could use a codex. So,
well, isn't that what James Workshop said he was working on?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, especially
he's never led us wrong before.
Well, especially you consider they've added 2 new factions this edition because Agents of the Imperium became like a full-on standalone faction of sorts, and Emperor's Children became a standalone faction of sorts.
Technically, they added 3 because they took away Death Watch and then added them back.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Death Watch. Yeah. So 2.5.
2.5.
I'll give it 2.5, but really, just in my mind, just Emperor's Children, because Death Watch, yeah, they went away and came back, so that's a net 0. And Agents of the Imperium,
no, Emperor's Children is not a net 0 because
Death Watch.
Death Watch. Okay, Death
Emperor's
Watch.
Children is the brand new one.
So that's Emperor's Children is just a 0, but it's. No.
But Fulgrim's
Emperor's
nice.
Children hurts me. It hurts me because I was an Emperor's Children player and I can't use most. I have to play Chaos Space Marine because I can't use most of my models. So it hurts me personally.
Cool. I'm right there with you, Rob. That's why I haven't really done anything with him yet. Well, that and I've been enjoying Votann.
Yeah. And while and also one thing we didn't mention in part 1, there were no new detachments, like quarterly detachments released, but that's okay because Space Marines got like 4 more. There's a new Salamanders detachment, a new Imperial Fist detachment, a new Raven Guard detachment, and did they update the Wrath of the Rock? Yeah, they updated that one slightly as well.
That's
so
fine.
3 new detachments, and I'm assuming we'll have a new White Scars detachment and a new like Iron Hands detachment when those come out.
And maybe potentially a new Ultramarines detachment, because we did get confirmation that there's a new wave of Ultramarine models coming.
Right, because there's a new updated Marnius Calgar who had already been updated to be Primaris, and now he is more Primaris, I guess.
New Fist Me Daddy. What?
I still have my thoughts that was supposed to be like the 11th edition box set or go along with the box set type thing.
And did it get like leaked early or something?
Oh, leaked very, very early is my guess. So that could be a long way away of seeing Calgar.
Yeah, because they said he's coming eventually, but
yeah,
true.
So now we are in uncharted territory.
Oh God, we got to come up with episode ideas again.
Well, we got to come up with episode ideas, which we definitely have. We don't worry, we have things to talk about, but uncharted territory in that this is considering how many factions this game has, as we mentioned in part 1. That we still have 9 months to go until the next until theoretically the next edition. I don't think we've ever had a gap, since before 6th edition.
Yeah.
And maybe not even then, because I think there were some codexes that came out like right before the transition from like 5th to 6th.
Yeah, and 6th edition was a very unique edition. So
it was, but 6th edition was also when we started getting like the 2 codexes a month.
Yeah,
and
so there definitely was no gap there. Yeah.
And even 7th edition, they were still like they were releasing supplements up until like right before 8th edition, because obviously Traitor Legions and got taken away from us like after 3 months. But
yeah, that one still hurts.
Yeah. But we have not had an edition where I think the longest frame of time has been maybe like 5 months. Because like you'd have like the winter codexes and then you'd have a bit of a breather and then it's summer, it's time for a new edition. So we will see what happens.
Yeah.
In the
I'm
next
actually looking forward to this by having this, because in my mind it means okay, now we've got some stability, and I'm still knocking on wood hoping that the next edition will just be tweaks so we can have this like continued stability, and then maybe have, I don't want to say a slower codex release, but maybe transition to the digital rules and have codexes be more of the fluff and art and lore type stuff.
That would be great by me. I would not complain.
So there's my wish list, GW.
Stop putting out new stuff for a while. And I mean, it's not that they don't have other games they can focus on. There's still there's lots of factions in Age of Sigmar that don't have their like battle tomes, and we obviously we've got New Horus Heresy, and we've got Old World, and we've got like Kill Team's got stuff planned out for like the next several months, so they're good there. So yeah, this will be a good breather, a good chance to actually talk more about the game instead of just like the newest hotness. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, me too.
Yeah. So that is the episode. We will be back in a couple of weeks with something new. And in fact, let's see. Do we have our Sunday previews yet? Yep.
It's Drukhari stuff.
Yeah. Surprise. The thing we've been talking about is coming out. And
that sweet new combat patrol for Deathcore.
Yes. Yeah. That was another surprise that like Deathcore Creed Command, which is actually a much better, if combat patrols are going to be leaning into infantry almost exclusively, this is a much better one than the current Guard combat patrol.
Well, and it's nice because it's basically all the new Krieg models. So
yeah. Minus like the big artillery piece, which makes sense.
Yeah. No, excited.
Yeah. But anyway, that's it for us now. We will be back in a couple of weeks. And until then, from all of us here at Preferred Enemies, I'm your host, Rob.
Kevin.
Dennis.
And Richard.
Good night, good gaming, and feel the pain, because it's a good pain.